Hi, everybody. Welcome to the pre-event interview series for World Hydrogen Derivatives. Today, I'm joined by Flemming Pederson, the Senior PtX Specialist. Thank you for joining us.
Ira?
So today we're just going to have a brief discussion to kind of get your thoughts on where the derivatives space is currently standing and what some of the key challenges you think are, as a little bit of a taster ahead of you joining us as a speaker in June this year. So I'll get straight into my questions. So my first question to you is, how do you see the hydrogen derivatives market evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? And what do you think the key drivers are in shaping this evolution?
I think it's important to remember that the derivatives we're talking about is typically it's methanol, it's ammonia, it's really existing molecules. It's substances we already know and that we use in our everyday lives. And that is a bit different from the hydrogen discussion, because the hydrogen discussion is really changing our perspective completely on how we use energy, whereas the derivatives are much more a question of, do we want to go green? Uh, how do we have, can we afford it? What political initiatives do we need to take to make sure that we have this change? So it's perhaps is a less technological discussion and more a political discussion. Do we want to produce green ammonia on the scale that is necessary? Can we afford it? Are we ready to do it? And I think working with these problems every day, we can definitely see that over the last 2, 3 years, the climate in Europe, especially, of course, has changed uh, with Putin in Ukraine, and now with Trump in the White House. No comparison, and it'll stop there, of course. But the climate has changed dramatically. There are less money and less political interest in green transition, and that is super difficult to work with, and it creates uncertainty, which is not good for investors, for instance. So I think we need more stability in both in politics and in the economy, and I think that's really one of the key issues at the moment. If you look at the technology as such, uh, there is, of course, developments in terms of new ways to produce green ammonia, green alcohol, green methane. Um, but again, it always ends up being a political discussion. For instance, how much CO2 avoidance can
Right.
be counted if it's based on, if the methanol is based on biogas, or if compared to LBG, for instance, or that sort of thing. So it sort of moved from a technical discussion to more a political discussion, and that makes it super complex, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. So I think one thing that's interesting is you've mentioned that uh what's really underpinning the success of this industry is how policy and regulation kind of support this industry. So what role do you think that these can play in accelerating the adoption of these derivatives, and where you see there are currently kind of challenges or gaps, where do you see the most room for improvement on that policy front?
Mm, uh, I came from, or I come from hydrogen, and we have been looking at hydrogen projects for a long time, and it was really a question: can we decarbonize mobility? Can we decarbonize the maritime transports? All these things. Now it's more a question on, are we ready to use the derivatives in different situations? And again, green transition will not be an economically viable process for a long time.
Hmm.
It has to be a political decision taken by governments saying, we really want to do this to save our planet.
Yeah.
Uh, in terms, hopefully, over time, mass production, we will reach a point where it's even economically viable. But in the beginning, subsidies will have to be part of our industry, and we need to look at perhaps the most efficient ways to use these new molecules. And I think a stable framework, a clear framework. Uh, all these colors at the moment, super confusing. CI scores, super confusing. You basically you need a consultant to sit down before you start your project, and
Mm.
you have to present how you're going to do your project, and then he will sit down and calculate, and then say, okay, you can have this color and you can have this CI scores, and then you can probably go and negotiate a contract on your methanol or your ammonia, and that we need some more clear and transparent rules and regulations in this area. That would help tremendously. There's no doubt about that.
Right. Okay. Okay. And then just to kind of go back to technology that you've mentioned earlier. So there's obviously a lot going on at the moment. So of all the recent technological advancements that have been made, what do you think have had the most significant impact on the hydrogen derivatives production landscape, and what emerging innovations should the industry really be keeping an eye on?
Mm, we have to go back to the hydrogen because
Okay.
hydrogen is so important for many of these molecules. Um, there is pre-corona, you had 180 million tons of ammonia, for instance, and almost one third of the hydrogen being produced worldwide was used for this ammonia production. Um, if you look in a green scenario, the hydrogen is so crucial to the rest of the synthesis and the technology, and
Mhm.
it's really the innovation in electrolysis that is still the most important for the derivatives. Um and we have seen some very interesting new technologies coming along in the electrolyzer world. SOEC, of course, will be super interesting milestone for the ammonia production if it can be co-located. We have seen the anion exchange membranes coming along, and even in PEM and alkaline, you see smaller developments, new membranes, that sort of thing. So picking one is very, very difficult. Um, I would be hesitant to sort of pick one. I may have a favorite or two that I'm sort of keeping an eye on, but I think it would be wrong of me to sort of start promoting one specific technology here. But the development of hydrogen production is really the key issue. Next week, I'm going to Cologne, where there is a 2 day seminar on CO2 developments, and
Mhm.
that is going to be super interesting to see what the industry is doing there. In again, collecting, synthesizing, optimizing the use of CO2 in combination with, for instance, green hydrogen.
Mhm.
That's going to be very, very interesting to see.
Okay. Okay, well, thanks for that. I'm really looking forward to actually seeing your presentation at World Hydrogen Derivatives. So, I suppose my last question to you then is, what are you really most looking forward to at the event in June?
I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see some of the projects that you have heard so much about over the last couple of years, how they perform and how they develop.
Mhm.
The project I've been working on. it's called Megaton, and I've presented that at the Electrolyzer Congress in
I think it was Cologne. I think it was
that was
Cologne.
Cologne too. I mean, it's always Cologne, Rotterdam, or Amsterdam. So,
Yeah.
but or Copenhagen, of course. Remember Copenhagen. Um, but even that project started out as a pure hydrogen project,
Mhm,
slowly worked its way through methanol, and today, and I'll be presenting that in June,
mhm,
uh, has changed again and being optimized, being more efficient. And just as a teaser, we are now reaching prices of the green methanol, which are below 800 euros per ton. And
mhm,
that's really going to be a game changer, I think. We can have a setup where we co-locate the methanol production with biogas, biogas certificates
mhm,
there. But part of it is really thinking these energy production with other energy types. You have to sell the energy when it's expensive and buy it when it's cheap. The same
mhm,
goes for certificates, and it becomes a synergy. You can't just look at one derivatives and say, I will focus solely on the price of methanol. You
mhm.
have to look at how what other value streams is connected to that.
Yeah.
Sell the heat, buy the CO2 when it's cheap, sell the energy when it's expensive, and so on. So
Mhm.
it becomes a synergy, and then you
Wow.
can have a project where you can reach, as I said, very interesting business cases with a
Mhm.
price of less than 1,000 euros per ton of methanol, for instance.
Right. Okay, well, thank you so much, Fleming. For
Welcome.
everybody who's kind of curious, we're having World Hydrogen Derivatives running in Amsterdam on June the 24th and 25th. And Fleming will give us a fantastic presentation, no doubt, as well as chair some of our sessions. So I look forward to seeing you again, Fleming, very shortly. And thank you so much.
Good to be with you today. Thank you.